Hello and welcome to Switzer TV. I'm Peter Switzer, and today I'm interviewing and talking to Gerry Harvey, the founder of Harvey Norman. Gerry, welcome.
Thank you.
I said in a story I wrote this morning, Gerry, that I'm going to ask this question first up, and it might annoy you, but who knows more about retailing and your future as a company? You or the retail analysts?
Katie Page. but I know more than the retail analyst, but that's not hard. But Katie Page is better than me. I used to be better than her. The pupil outshining the teacher over a period of years. So now she's better than me. And I can look at it and I think, yeah, she is better. But then I think to myself, I taught her. And then I think to myself, no, she was smart enough to pick it all up herself. Yeah.
Do you think the retail analysts are picking on an old bloke? You know, how there's ageism in the world nowadays. They think, you know, you've been accused many years ago of losing it and your share price went up to what, $5.68 or something after they said you lost it. But do you think there was a bit of ageism there, Gerry?
Don't like you know, when I'm 60, I've lost it. And now I've got 1 year to go and I'm 80. So, but I have my models in the world, like Rupert Murdoch or Harry Triguboff. And I look at people like that, or Frank Lowy, and I look at people like that and I think they're closer to 90, right? So I'm looking at them as role models. And so I'm not even contemplating thinking that I'm a dinosaur, I've had it, I'm too old, all those sort of things. I'm testing myself out there in the market every day. And I've convinced myself that I haven't lost it. Pretty important. Other people might have a different view.
Is Katie like your young person protector? If they say you're too old, she clearly is not too old.
I don't think she gives me any free kicks. And so she can be protective sometimes. But then when there's no one else around, she becomes this different person. She lays into me as if I'm, you know, I deserve it.
The analysts think that your challenges are the housing sector's coming off the boil. They're always worried about Amazon, the future of Amazon and stuff, but it's the property price effect, in fact, that people won't be shopping in your shop for furniture, heavy furniture and stuff like that. What's your take on that, Gerry?
Well, we've been mucking around with retail for 60 years and there's not a lot of evidence to suggest that that is true. So, and housing cycles have come up so many times in that time, but at the moment you've got 1 million more people here every 3.5 years. So they have to be housed. And even this year, right now, there's 300,000 more people in Australia than this time last year. So, and then there's renovations. And so there's no evidence that our sales are being affected by a housing slowdown, but they would be ever so slightly.
Your problem is, you know, I'd love to see how you respond to this problem.
So, I love having problems.
Well, it's not a retail problem, it's more like a stock market problem.
I have a lot of problems.
Oh yeah, you're a problematic child. But you've got these shorters, and what, 10% of the stock is shorted.
20% of the free float.
Yeah, because you guys hold a lot yourself.
Yeah, over 50%.
Yeah. Now, what do these people know that you don't know, obviously, and the people who buy your stock, what do these people know?
Well, they know that they can manipulate, and the way they manipulate by their friends in the media, whether it's the press or TV or radio, where they'll have those people support their proposition, or they'll put correspondence from overseas where they can't be attacked by local authorities. And in this respect, I think they're criminals because they say things about a company that are totally untrue, but no one can attack them because they have an overseas person doing it. And so they organise all these things. So a short seller is a person that's out there in a lot of cases, not all cases, doing all these things, manipulating a share price. Now, when they're doing that, they're criminals.
Have you complained to the ASX or to ASIC or anyone who might be able to?
I've complained to anyone that'll listen, and the problem is they turn off. People don't want to pursue this this short selling problem. It's right across the world. It's rampant. It's becoming worse and worse, and it becomes worse because they're getting away with it. They're operating a model that is like, we're getting away with this, no one's going to pursue it. We know we're wrong, but it stinks.
All right, what about the story out there that is planted by a short seller that you've got some accounting problem, which has been around for what, a couple of years? Why doesn't someone do something about your accounting problem, or is it an exaggeration?
There's no accounting problem, that's the thing.
Right.
That's where you can make an allegation that's totally wrong. And people then read it, listen to someone talking about it, and they say, oh, smoke, fire. So that's what I'm saying. It's criminal activity because they're white collar criminals reducing the price, telling lies so they can make money.
And it seems to me that someone should be testing out the proposition, either because they're right and you say they're wrong, or to protect the shareholders. So it's really the job of the ASX at least.
No. We've got auditors, right? And the auditors are very careful nowadays about signing off on public company accounts. Yeah. And then we've also been...
Who is the auditor, Gerry? Just
Ernst & Young.
Yeah.
They were the leading auditors in the country. Yeah. They're not going to sign off on accounts and leave themselves open to all sorts of problems. Right. But in addition to that, we've had people like ASIC and ACCC over the years. They get involved with all of us public companies, and they put their claws in all over the place. Yeah. So we are constantly under surveillance by regulators, by auditors. You can't take a step out of place. And for someone to make allegations, they won't make those allegations here in Australia against us. They'll make it from overseas. So let them start talking about our accounts being dodgy right here, and then we'll sue the buggers, right? So our accounts are not dodgy. And when you tell someone their accounts are dodgy, and next year, the next year, it goes on year after year and they're never dodgy. Surely one day we get to a stage hang on, we've been putting up these accounts for nearly 60 years now, and they've never been dodgy. So how do they become dodgy overnight? This is like outrageous.
Do you think the media is an accessory after the fact?
Sure, no question about it.
Is it because they just... they're not able to test it themselves and they just take it as
there's
gospel?
Two reasons why the media is an accessory. One, they're lazy and they will just print what someone said without checking it. And two, they can be in cahoots with someone that's a short seller. Now, there's no question that certain people in the media have been in cahoots. They're part of a gang, if you like, with short sellers, and this has been going on for years and will continue for years. So it's just wrong.
Well, your share price has gone from a high, you correct me, from around $5.38 down to $3.50. Do you think a large part of that has been the negative press, or has it been because a whole collection of things from Amazon to the threat of online and all those sorts of things? And I guess you've gone through a house price boom, so it really shouldn't have come off the boil, really.
No, I agree with all of those things. Retail stinks at the moment. Anything to do with the internet is fantastic. Online sales, it's all fantastic. Amazon's a problem. Housing's a problem. Wages are a problem. All of these things. So you put it all together, and we're in a sector at the moment called retail that's pretty much unloved. And the only way you're going to become loved is if you're a retailer with good growth year on year on year on year. But when you're someone like Harvey Norman, where you've got a shop everywhere, you can't open a lot more shops in Australia. So we have to go overseas if we want to get that growth. And that's what we're doing. But, you know, we're in a sector that is very unloved at the moment. Now, I've been in this sector when it's been loved, when our share price hit $7.60 years ago. And nowhere near as good a company then as we are now. So it's quite strange. So when you start talking about the logical situation that exists out there with financial advisors and analysts and all of that, for someone like me, I've been watching it all my life and I know how much bullshit there is there in it. And I've never met an analyst yet that's been a retailer. There probably is one somewhere, but in my lifetime. So then I'm starting to listen to somebody that knows more about something than I do. It's like I'm a doctor and a bloke out there that's never done any medicine in his life starts telling the doctor how to operate or something. It's like bizarre.
You announced that you're going to have a rights issue for $164 million. When you look up the textbooks, they say companies can do this when they're in trouble, but you're not doing it because you're in trouble. You're doing it because you want to pay down debt and expand overseas. Is that the story?
Yeah, so at the moment we've got a debt to equity of about 25%, which is very good. Every public company in Australia says, oh, I wish I was there. And some of them aren't, some of them are better, but 25% is quite good, but zero is a lot better. Yeah. And so when the GFC came along, a big percentage of public companies, all the banks and a lot of others, they're all short of money, all had big issues, share issues. Now we didn't. We were more solid than any of them, if you like, because we didn't have to have it. We were adequately geared. And so if a GFC came tomorrow, I'd like to be in that position at all times. Now, I was a shareholder in all those banks, still am, but I didn't get the advantage of the half share price. That all went to the big funds. And so I've always been a bit dirty on that because I think they never looked after me as a shareholder.
I mean, rights issues and things like that, and they try to improve their capital.
Because they needed that money really quick.
Yeah.
And so I missed out, but so did every other little shareholder in the country. But that's not looking after your shareholder. And so they haven't got that same commitment to looking after a shareholder that I have. I mean, we own half the shares, more than half the shares in Harvey Norman. So anything we do is for the good of the company. So I have this little talk to myself. And I say to myself, why are you sticking around in Harvey Norman? You've got plenty of money. And are you doing it for the money? Or why do you stick around? My view is, and I look at people like Warren Buffett or Frank Lowy or Rupert Murdoch, and I think we're all the same. All we want to do is grow our business. And it becomes something that you've done all your life and you sort of think, that's why I'm doing it. Now I'm trying to tell myself the truth. When you ask yourself a question, do you want to give yourself a truthful answer or do you want to give yourself an answer that you think you'd like to hear? So I'm trying to be as truthful as I can. And I'm saying to myself, that must be the only reason you're doing it. You are trying to grow this company. But then you would say, but mate, 1 year to go and you're 80. Why would you want to grow the company? Who gives the stuff? I do. If I'm 90, I still do. For some reason, it's been my life's work. And so I want to grow the company. Next year I want it to be better than it is now.
Given the fact that you're in a challenging position against the online tsunami and whatever, and Amazon in particular, and you talked about Amazon before with me, but Best Buy has seemingly, and Walmart have seemingly done well against Amazon in recent times. Are you looking to them to see what they're doing to, in a sense, copy or even do better than them against the threat of Amazon?
Well, if you read the media, if you're in taking any notice of the media in the last 12 months. Amazon were going to come along, they had all the free publicity in the world, every media outlet, lead story, Amazon. And we're looking at that and thinking, holy Moses, we'd like free advertising like that. And so Amazon before Christmas exposed itself in Melbourne, and here we are now nearly a year later, and Amazon, the effect on Harvey Norman sales, zero, right? But every analyst in the country, every media outlet, Harvey Norman's going to be torn apart by the might of Amazon, okay? And we talk about analysts and the media being very knowledgeable. Another good example of the poor buggers are screwballs, right? They don't know. But it's a story and they'll do anything to get the story. If you work for the media, guess where you get a prize every day? I wrote the best story, mate, right? And then suddenly you're this person we'll give an extra few dollars to every year because you are the person that helps sell that media, you know, whether it's a TV, radio or newspaper. You know that, you're in the media. So that's the game they play.
Okay, so looking at the money you're going to raise, the 164 million, an important part of the story which I thought was downgraded by many of the members of the media was the fact that you are actually growing Harvey Norman overseas. And how many new stores are you going to open up? And Malaysia's big, and you're also, the percentage of your profit coming from overseas is sort of suggesting that if Australia is stagnant, overseas offers a lot of potential.
Well, we made up our mind 20 years ago that we would try overseas. So we went to New Zealand, and New Zealand's been a wonderful success. Then we went to Asia, and we went through the Asian crisis and all sorts of problems in Asia. But now Asia's like catching up. And we've got, I think, 30 shops there now in Singapore and Malaysia. And we're suspecting that we could get to 100 shops in the next 5 to 10 years. So Malaysia's got a population of over 31 million. Singapore's got 5 or 6 million. Now, that's not double Australia, but it's a lot more than Australia. So can we make more money in Singapore, Malaysia 10 years from now than we make in Australia? Logically, I think we can. Whether we do or not is another thing, but it's that huge Asian market. Can we go into Vietnam or Indonesia and do a similar thing? That's our base there. Yes, we can. So we're looking at it. It's not something new. It's nearly 20, I think we went there in 2000 or 2002 or something like that. So we've got a long history in that part of the world now. And then, of course, we went to Ireland and we lost 50 million a year the first year, the second year, and lost over 200 million. Now we're making money in Ireland. So we've got, I don't know, a dozen or 14 shops in Ireland, and Ireland's now making money, and we're trying to build that up over a period of time to go into the UK. But we've been in Ireland now for a long time. That was always the plan. But the GFC came along, and in Ireland, our sales drops 10, 20, 30% immediately. Here, no drop. So we've had that experience in Ireland of what can happen when things go really bad. But now Ireland is back. House prices in Ireland, where they halved, are now back as high or higher than they were before the GFC. So then we go to Slovenia, and we've been there, I don't know, 15 years or something. And we're a dominant player in Slovenia. Then we went to Croatia, and now we're going to open some more shops in Croatia. The first one we opened in Zagreb, lost money the first, second, third and fourth year, made money in the fifth year. This year it's going to make more money again. And so now we're saying, okay, we can open more shops in Croatia. We've got the model, makes money, took a while, but we can be a good player in that market in Croatia. And then you can move into other parts of the old Yugoslavia. So there's a lot of things we can do overseas. And in the meantime, we can tune up our whole operations in Australia.
Okay, so the outlook looks very positive overseas, and growing the stores. One story that was featured in this report was what you lost on dairy farming, and the impairment costs means that you've written down the value of that.
Yep.
And it was about 10% of your profit if you look at the overall trading losses and impairment. Was that disappointing, Gerry? Because I know you like to take diversifying type investment strategies, but this one hasn't really worked out.
It was a really, really bad one. I mean, I'm quite happy to be flogged for it. There's no question about that. I mean, we went into an operation that we thought was pretty much foolproof, but we ended up with a partner that was nothing like the guy that we thought he was, and he had a dream and he wanted the best dairy in Australia, but his dream overtook reality, and we ended up with a bloke that, you know, you only find in your worst nightmares. So it's best to get out, run, throw away $50 million or whatever it is. We make 10 million a week. It's $5 million. 5 weeks later, we've got our 50 million back, if you like. So it's a pain in the arse. It's an embarrassment. It was a bad decision. We've made it. We're moving on.
Okay. So looking at the current share price, we're around 350. On the dividend that you paid this year, I guess a lot of my viewers would like to know what's the likelihood that this dividend will be retained around these levels? Because if it is, it's about an 8.3% return with grossing up. You're a 10% yielding company, which makes you very, very attractive. But you at least have to deliver on your promise, which you talked about in this interview, and then you have to maintain the dividend. How likely do you think it is that you're going to be?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what our dividend's going to be, but if you look,
I have to ask you anyway.
Yeah, but if you look at our dividend, you can only go on history, I guess. If you looked at our dividend over the last 3 years, I can't remember, 26, 28 or 30 cents each year. So now whether it'll be that or more or less going forward, I'm not going to make any prediction. But we've gone through the first 2 months of this year, July, August. Our sales are static in Australia, and overseas we've got some huge results. July, August in Malaysia is up like 40% or something. But if our sales in Australia were up 40% July, August, our share price would be $14 overnight. So, but the growth's over there, it's not here. And at the moment, it's very difficult to get growth in Australia in our business. And I'm not looking to getting any growth from here till Christmas. I hope to get a bit. But if it is a bit, it'll only be a bit.
Okay, so my final question to you is, do you think in the not too long run that you will prevail over the short sellers who you say are effectively conspiring to make the company look bad in the eyes of shareholders?
No question. We'll bury them. No question. We will win. It's not even it's a lay down misère, right? We will bury those short sellers. That is my ambition, to put them so far under the earth that they'll never get to see the light of day again.
But will you do it by performance of the company, or will you actually go after them and expose them for what you say is bad behaviour?
Ideally, I'd like to put them in jail, right? But I don't like my chances of success. So I'm going to have to do it with the performance of the company, which is a better way to do it. So all I'm saying is, if you want to bet against Harvey Norman, you're going to lose, okay? It's just a matter of when you lose. And if you want to back Harvey Norman, you will win. It will only be a matter of when you win and how much you win.
Thanks, Gerry.
Thank you.